Hi. Yeah, this video is to show you how to build this spectrophotometer out of Legos, which uses the camera from your phone as a light detector. When you're all done with this couple of steps I'm going to show you, you'll have something that looks exactly like this. These are the things you need to get together. There should be a cup full of Legos in your kit. There's some double stick tape in your kit and this Lego board. And you need a pair of scissors or something sharp from around the house in order to put the thing together. The first thing to do is to dump out your Lego pieces and to identify a few special pieces that are in there. Most of these pieces are the same. They're just black Lego pieces with 8 dots. But there are a couple that have been cut short. If you look at them on the ends, you'll see that they've been cut short. And we spattered a little bit of gray paint on them. Some of them may have more or less gray paint, but you can identify them at a glance as being a little bit different than the others. So you got 4 of these, and you need to take note of which ones they are. The first thing to do is just to make a stack of 3 Legos and do that twice, right? Just like I have here. This is going to be part of the spectrophotometer. And one of these Legos has to get a little bit of double stick tape put onto this side of it. So you want to take out your scissors and cut a piece of double stick tape. It's about the width of a Lego. Okay. And you could cut it so it's just about the height of a Lego also. It doesn't have to be that precise. You can just do it by eye to be pretty close. Then take the double stick backing off one side and just put it on one edge like this. We're going to leave this backing here. We don't want this edge to be sticky. We want this to just act as a little bit of padding. Now this is the next piece that we have to build, and we have to build 2 of these. So I have one assembled here to show you as we build it, and you're going to build 2 of them so that side by side you have 2 identical copies. So to do this, grab the 2 pieces that are cut short on the side like this, and start off by stacking them with the cut ends pointing in, stacking them on top of a regular black piece of Lego. So when you put them down, because they've been cut a little bit short, you'll have this gap there. Then you put a Lego piece on each side, bridging. Okay, you see this is getting built up into that. And then we put one more on top to make it a little bit stronger. Okay. So these are the 4 basic blocks that we're going to put down on the gray Lego board in order to build the spectrophotometer. The next stage is we're going to assemble these blocks onto the Lego board, and the exact position isn't really that important. Depending upon the shape of your phone, you may want to position the pieces slightly different on the Lego board. But for the phone that I have there, a good position is to leave about 4 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4 dots here, and then place down one of these guys with about 2 or 3 dots on the side here. And then in between, we're going to make a cavity, kind of a little area here to place a cuvette. Okay. We put down these 2 blocks. And when I put them down, you should see it slightly occludes the hole. See that hole there? Right, the double stick tape is blocking a little bit of it, but there is some space in here to lay something down. And then the last thing is we want to put this piece in a position that's identical left and right with the one we put down before. Okay. When you're all done, you should be able to look in this direction and see light. Let's get the camera lined up there. You should be able to see light through there. You can see all the way into the through the blocks. Yeah, there we go, like that. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some double stick tape on this back surface here, so that when you put your camera in contact, your camera will be held stationary. So the exact amount of double stick tape doesn't matter. I think about 1/2 of a square works well. Double stick tape's very strong for this purpose. Okay, so I cut a little piece of it, and now I'm going to go onto this back side, and I want to place it right next to that hole that we've made. Now next you want to turn on your phone and open up either the camera or the Color Assist app so that you can see whatever your camera is seeing on the screen. And what you want to do is first unpeel this double stick tape. Okay, so that you're all ready to lock your camera in place. And then what you want to do is place the camera down on the surface and move it along, slide it across until your camera is seeing right through this opening here. And when it is, then press it into the double stick tape. Okay. All right, so I just positioned my camera, and right now, if I move my finger around here, I can see my finger on the screen of the camera. Right, when I go like that, well, you can't see it that well, but the camera is positioned so that it is seeing right through this hole. This video is to show you how to use the Color Assist app if you have an iPhone. And when you use the app, it's usually going to be double stick taped onto the spectrophotometer like this. But I'm going to pull it apart so I can show you the screen. But with everything that I'm showing you, you would normally be doing, manipulating the functions on the phone while it's still attached here. Now, I'm aware that the video for you is going to be flipped left to right. I don't think it's going to be technically possible for me to reverse it. So it's going to be a little harder for you to follow what I'm saying, but go slowly and look at the video and pause it if you have to. If you're using an iPhone, the app that you have to download is called Color Assist, and it looks like this icon here, this multicolored icon. And when you open it up and you're first using it, it's important that you go into the settings icon over here. And a couple of things to change. One is to change this first one that says spatial sample aperture. Pull the slider all the way to the right so it displays the maximum number of pixels. On a more advanced phone, it may be different, but on mine, it's 50 by 50 pixels. You can also increase the temporal sample aperture to the widest value, which for me is 1 second. There are a lot of boxes here that you could check, but you don't want anyone checked on this list except RGB values. You only want to display RGB values. So if it's not checked already, check it. And if any other ones are checked, uncheck them. Then exit the settings, and your screen should look something like this. Now, whatever is in front of the camera is going to analyze and figure out its color and determine the amount of red, green, and blue. And that's what the RGB values that are referred to on the screen are. You see where it says RGB, and there are 3 numbers next to it. The R is the first number, the G for green is the second, and the third one, B, is for the blue. The other thing to understand about using this app has to do with these 3 tabs at the top that say Auto, Lock, and Target. When you first set it up on your spectrophotometer, I'm going to tell you to go into the Auto button. And what that does is it allows the camera's autofocus feature to focus. You do want to focus the best that you can on the light source that's coming in. After you focused it, though, you would like to use the Target feature. So switch to Target. And the Target feature allows you to decide which part of the image that's coming in it analyzes for color. So when this is hooked up to your spectrophotometer, you're going to see a bright spot on the screen where the light is coming through. And what you want to do is move the target over to wherever that bright spot is. And hopefully, if we've aligned the spectrophotometer correctly, the bright spot will sit within that square that's being sampled and analyzed. This video is to show you how to use the app in the Android to collect data on this spectrophotometer. So when you do the steps that I'm about to show you, you're going to be doing with your phone taped onto the spectrophotometer like this. But I'm going to take it off the spectrophotometer just so I can hold the screen up and so that you can see it. Now, I'm aware that when you guys see this video, it's going to be reversed left and right, and I don't really have the technical ability editing videos to fix that. So it's a little bit harder for you to understand. If you get stuck, you can pause the video and try to figure it out. But the app that you want to get is called Color Grab, and the icon looks something like this. And so you start up Color Grab, and when you start it up, the settings might have to be adjusted. So the first thing to do after you start it is to go into that icon for settings. Now, lots of cameras are different. Some phones have more than one camera and so on. But you want to display all RGB values. There are a lot of ways to display color. There's HSL, CMYK. You want to display everything as RGB values. So go here into your settings and make sure you change any of the camera displays to RGB. For instance, mine says camera left cell. I've changed it to RGB. Instead of any one of these ones, there's a long list of possible ones. I make sure I choose RGB, which is at the top there, right? For the other one, I have a right camera. I go in there. I do the same thing. If it's not set to RGB, shut it off of any of these things. You don't want HSV, HSB, everything to RGB. Okay. Then you can exit the settings. And what you ought to see on the screen there is the image, of course, that the camera is seeing at the moment. And there's a target in the middle. That's the area that it's really analyzing the color. And then, depending what you pointed at, you're going to see values displayed up here. And if you look closely, you can see it says RGB, standing for red, green, and blue right there. And next to it, there are 3 numbers. And those stand for the red, green, and blue light intensities. So the camera is analyzing how much red, green, and blue light is in the image at any point. So if I pointed at something red, for instance, I will see the R value goes up, and the GMBs don't go to 0, but the R value goes up a lot because it's catching a lot of red light when it points at this. Okay. So that's the idea of using this app. When you guys set it up on your spectrophotometer, when you tape it, the camera ought to be centered so that the image is just about where this square in the center is. That's the place it's really collecting the data. So you'd like to, if you can, get that right on top of the opening that is catching the image, so that the light that you see coming through ought to be lighting up that square there when it's aligned properly on the spectrophotometer.
This video is for people that are using an Android to collect data instead of using an iPhone. In the Android, the app is called Color Grab, and I've started up the Color Grab app, and that's what you're looking at on the screen right now. One difference between Color Grab and the one in the iPhone is that there isn't a start button in this app to make it collect data. It collects data whenever it senses some sort of a change on the screen. So the easiest way to get it to collect data when you update something, like you put a new sample in there, you change the position of the flashlight, is that you could move your hand in front of the flashlight to block the light for a second, and then just take your hand out of the way. When you do that, what you'll see, I'm doing it right now, is that for a second, this colored icon, I'll do it again, this colored icon rotates around. That means it's collecting a new data set, and then it's going to display, when you show the check mark, when you see the check mark here, it's going to have that displayed up here in the corner as the RGB values. The other difference between the app is there isn't a target feature in this app where we can pick the data collection to be anywhere on the screen. The data is collected within this square that's outlined here. So you want to make sure when you align your spectrophotometer that the colored light spot is within that square. It should be if you aligned your spectrophotometer correctly, as I showed you in an earlier video. But if it's not, you could undo the phone from the double stick tape that's holding it and wiggle it just a little bit to make sure that this spot, the colored spot of the light coming from the flashlight, is within this square here. Now, there's one other problem that people that use an Android might have. It's not a big problem. We can overcome it. But some Android phones, instead of having the camera as it is here on this Android I have, some of them have the camera closer towards the middle. And if that's the case, then you're going to have to position your phone a little bit differently, because you still have to make sure that the place where the camera is, like let's pretend that that circle there was the camera on your phone, that still has to be lined up with the opening that the light comes through from the flashlight. So if you have an Android that has the phone, camera in the middle of the back of the phone, then what you want to do is move the square blocks that make up the cuvette holder, move them towards to the very back edge of the Lego board, so that now it meets the back edge here. So with the cuvette holder on the back there, you can double stick tape your phone with it at the edge of the table like this, so that the camera is at the right level to meet the light that's coming from the light source. And you do all the same things, wiggling the phone back and forth so that the image of the flashlight is in the center of the data collection region.